Do the Miami Hurricanes have a Mario Cristobal problem?
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
To the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Right now, you can download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first ticket purchase. This is going to be a very fun episode. It was a glorious Week 10 college football overview of just how crazy it is. I'm glad I don't pick games for a living. It's hard, but I'm going to break down what happened. We're going to discuss which teams are now in or out. If you're a Georgia Tech fan, it's probably not a good day. If you're a fan of several teams, it's probably not a good day. Like Tennessee fans should be mad, etc. There's all kinds of different things that have happened, but that is college football, and it's why we all love it. It is the greatest game on planet Earth. Texas Tech added Kavion Bryant, the five-star 2027 quarterback recruit. We're going to talk about him. Is Texas Tech truly a team that's going to be here long-term? Adding quarterbacks like him, it very well could be. He might be the number one quarterback in the 2027 class. Got some other commitments to discuss as well. But we start with the following premise. Miami has a Mario Cristobal problem, and I'm going to tell you why right now. Despite his ability to recruit at an elite level, despite his ability to use insane amounts of NIL, their top booster, from what I am told, is the guy that runs the soccer team in South Florida. His money's pretty ridiculous. And yet all of that, they consistently shoot themselves in the foot. Now, I know when Mario took over at Miami, I was covering that team. That roster needed a long way to go. So the following stats a little jaded, but it still places things in perspective. In the month of November, under Cristobal, the Canes are 4-11. 4-11. That is the definition of not clutch. Again, not clutch. When I was growing up, Miami was the epitome of clutch. Ironically, he was on a couple of those teams that won titles, 89 and 91. So, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Miami has a bit of a problem here. So let's break down a few things that they've got going on and why it is going to be difficult to fix. But if you take nothing else away, they have a Cristobal problem because of the following. Even worse than most coaches, Cristobal hates change. They run one running play. One. Inside duo. It's a great play, but everybody in the stadium knows what's coming on third or fourth and short. Even with NFL linemen and NFL running backs, there must be deception. Miami has none. They don't. They have none. It's just blatant. So consider that, and then consider this. This is the composite rankings that I pulled up from 24/7 Sports for recruiting. 23, 24, and 25 classes. Number 7 and 23. Number 4 in 2024, and number 14 this past year. So 3 really good classes in a row. The ACC does not recruit at their level. Nobody does. Not even Clemson, not Florida State, nobody. And they went out and got Carson back. So I go back to it again. Mario Cristobal hates change. Even with all that talent, adding Keelan Marion, adding CJ Daniels, Carson Beck, Zachariah Poyser, Akeem Mesidor, Keontae Scott, Jacoby Thomas, all these guys out of the portal, in addition to Francis Malinois, Mark Fletcher Jr., obviously Reuben Bain. He was an elite recruit that got away from Florida State and Alabama, etc. You can't win when everybody in the stadium knows what's coming. So I ask, whether you're a Canes fan or not, do you think Cristobal will change? Because there's no coordinator on planet Earth that runs one running play. None. That is a Mario Cristobal situation. I guarantee it. I can't prove it, but I still guarantee it. There is nobody that's going to do that, and Dawson's a good offensive coordinator. but this is ridiculous. And by the way, credit to SMU. They played well, but they did shot gaps. They overwhelmed Miami because they knew what was coming. They had no fear of anything else, no fear of the outside run. Carson Beck is not a mobile quarterback. He's okay at moving around, but he's not going to go get you a bunch of yards. So there's no threat. Can Mario Cristobal change? It's possible, but he also has the following issues in addition. Because of how they're getting hammered by guys like me, and I'm not very consequential, I get it, but there's going to be national media all over this all week. They're going to start hearing it, and I guarantee you, in recruiting, they're going to get hammered because it's easy to pick on them. Why would you go play in that offense? Because if I was a coach, that's exactly what I would say. I could call or text several coaches right now. I guarantee you they are going to negative recruit the crap out of Miami because they squander more talent than any other team in major college football right now. You could argue a few others, but this was a team that some thought was number one in the country earlier this year. They're on the verge of not making the playoff. Can Mario Cristobal change? Most coaches hate that word. They treat it like a four-letter word. Cristobal might even be more stubborn than most. One running play. What are we doing? Secondarily, on the defensive side, I think Heatherman's a pretty good defense coordinator, young guy in the biz, but they're not super aggressive when it comes to blitzing. They could do a little more, and I get it. When Messador and Bain are out there, that's two pretty good players, but they've played quite a few snaps. Let's see how much they've got in the tank down the stretch. They may have to blitz a little more, take a few more chances. It's a veteran secondary. They pieced it together through the portal and recruiting, but it's been pretty good. They didn't even play bad against SMU per se, and they did a really good job stopping the run. But just a few more chances here or there wouldn't be a bad thing either. Just throwing that out there. So with the following players leaving after this season, let's assume Miami doesn't make the playoff, and I don't think they will, but Maui Noah, the big right tackle, he's going to turn pro. First-round pick. C.J. Daniels, the receiver's probably gone. Carson Beck is definitely gone. Markel Bell will head off to the NFL. He's the other tackle. Inez Cooper, the right guard, he'll head to the NFL. Bain, turn pro early, no doubt. Keelan Marion, I believe, if you're a Canes fan, you know better than me. Does he have another year? I don't believe he does. Does Mark Fletcher Jr., this is the one I'm really not sure, the junior running back for the Canes, does he turn pro? Keontae Scott, I think he's done. Wesley Basaint, he is done. The inside linebacker, he's one of the better weak side linebackers in college football, in my opinion. Akeem Messador is done. Jacoby Thomas, also the safety. Zechariah Poyser, safety. Like, that's a lot of players. They're going to have to scheme their way a little more next year just to get to 9-3, in my opinion. It's just too much to lose. Will Mario Cristobal change? And I know he'll go get good recruits. They've got a good recruiting class. I just talked about it the other day on this very channel. Will Mario Cristobal change? Everything's linear with how they call plays and what they run on both sides. Eventually, that comes around to bite you. You have to be creative. So I offer 5 questions here that we're going to get to after the break. And if they don't answer these correctly, Miami is going to be a 7-5 to 9-3 program, even with Mario. And then at some point, the administration, even though Mario's buddies with some of the big boosters and all that, eventually is going to have a tough question. Do we get rid of the alum who loves this place, who bleeds for this place, but he's not getting us to where we want? That's always tough. That is next here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. College football is crazy right now. It's a lot of fun to be around it. Tailgating, rivalries, and everything going on, especially if you go to the game and get a chance to be in the stands. There's not quite like that. But let's be real, getting college football tickets can feel like a battle, even more so than the game itself because of the endless queues, hidden fees, and prices jumping out at you at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, and I actually just bought 2 tickets to go see my alma mater, Indiana, play some basketball next month, in and out in 5 minutes, including typing in my credit card information. It was simple. Download the app, create an account, just find the team you want by typing it in the search box, and then you can go right to it. It is very, very easy. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets or anything else. with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. We are also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA is also back in action, and there's no better place to get on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the first part of the game, if you want to ride the hot hand, or if you want to check out something else going on, maybe a parlay or something else, they've got you covered at FanDuel. Plus, you can even combine your same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It's the most exciting way to do it, especially when your team's making a late push in the game. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game of FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Truly appreciate you checking out all the things going on in the recruiting world with me. NIL, transfer portal, which keynote here, just throwing it out. There's going to be more coaching firings coming up, and the portal is about to be lit. We're going to talk about that every day right here on the Portal Podcast. But I want to finish up the Miami discussion before I get into Kavion Bryant and discussing his commitment. That's a really big thing we got to go over. I got 5 questions for Miami fans or anybody else, and you can do this any way you want. But number one, is Cristobal willing to change in general? And I put a little note on my notepad, duo. It's not that hard to run outside zone, split zone, mid zone, gap. How about a buck sweep from the quarterback once you get one that's a little more mobile? Whatever. Is he willing to change the running game at all? Number 2, the assistants. When you micromanage like that, they usually don't stick around. It's my opinion that he micromanages because, again, they run one running play. I'm not buying that they're all in on that. I'm not. Prove me wrong. How many stay and how many go after this year? From all I know, from people that know Mario, and I do not, he's a nice guy, but he is very demanding, as he should be. But not giving your coaches freedom eventually is probably going to bite you. We'll see how that goes in this offseason. Number 3, you went out and spent, Lord only knows how much, depending on the reports, $4 million or whatever it was on Carson Beck. Are you ever going to be pass first? You got a rare player in Malachi Toney. JoJo's finally healthy. I covered both those kids in high school. They're both electric. That's good. You got Marion. I mean, CJ Dan. You got some players. Lofton's a very unique H-back to throw to. Why don't they throw first a little bit? It's ironic that they don't, because when Cristobal played for the Canes, they were 100% pass first. They just out-executed people. Yet he doesn't do that at all. Will they at least adjust a little bit down the stretch to do that? Maybe next year? I don't know. If not, this team is not going to be a title contender ever. You have to adjust your game plan week to week. Can't be the same thing. Number 4, will they blitz more, especially as the snaps add up for Ruben? Like, he's a special player, but everybody's going to scheme against him, chip him, double him. You have to. One-on-one, he's going to win most of those reps. He's dominant. He's as good a player as there is in college football. But that's still the theme. You have to be able to adjust. Will Cristobal adjust on that at all? And then number 5, this is for the offseason, and one I have no idea. I just find it interesting, and I want everybody's opinion on this. Carson Beck will be done after this season, head off to NFL. Okay. They've got multiple young quarterbacks on the roster for next year. They have a true freshman that's a special player. They have a redshirt freshman that's pretty good. And Emory Williams, who knows? He didn't play well in the bowl game last year. It didn't help him. Will they give any of them a chance, or are they going to go portal again? Because I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, eventually this is going to grow old, and you're just going to have guys transfer like crazy. You can't do that. Eventually, you got to eat it. Even if you have to go through a season where you don't get what you want out of the quarterback, there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut. The first year the quarterback starts just about anywhere, it usually sucks. It's not going to meet fan expectations probably 8 out of 10, if not 9 out of 10 times. Doesn't matter the school. You need 400 or 500 reps, live reps in games, meaning a full season, to go through the stupidity of throwing the ball when you shouldn't. Nobody likes it. But if you don't do that eventually, no quarterback's going to want to stay, and then you're going to start losing quarterbacks in recruiting. It's hard. I know flat out from speaking to somebody who has a 5-star son recently that they were in on a couple other guys for the 27 group already, that because he's such a good recruiter and a good guy and a good coach. But it doesn't matter if you're not ever going to play anybody that you develop at quarterback. So will they go portal again? I honestly don't know. But I think that's a really interesting conversation. And if Miami does not, keywords, does not eventually do this either this offseason or next, they're just going to stop getting quarterback recruits that are any good. Why would anybody go there? Just to bring it up. Now, transition to Texas Tech. This is, I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but I am. Kavian Bryant is a kid out of Palestine, Texas, at East Texas. I think it's Westwood High School. I forget the name, but if you don't know much about him, you will soon. Elite player. He's committed to Texas Tech. And I'm going to be the first to admit that I don't know him. I haven't seen him live, but his film is ridiculous. Kavian Bryant, go look it up. Great prospect. Run pass guy, dynamic, can spin it. He can throw from the pocket, do whatever. Could have went to any school. Could have went to Texas. Could have went anywhere. He picked the Red Raiders. This is another NIL deal. There's no doubt. But it's not like other schools weren't offering that and what Michigan gave Bryce last year. I'm not going to buy the theme that it's not going on. And they'll find a way to bypass it before anybody asks about how that's getting done with this quote-unquote NIL clearinghouse, which is a joke. They're just going to give kids money under the table to figure out the deal if it doesn't meet the clearinghouse. So it's irrelevant. But to that, is Texas Tech here to stay? This is their third big-time recruit, I believe, in the class of 27 already. The top D lineman from Georgia, the top in-state defensive tackle in the state of Texas, and Bryant are all committed for the class of 27, not the current seniors. These are juniors. I mean, they're way out in front. They're outspending Texas, Oklahoma, LSU, Texas A&M. Is McGuire and his squad here to stay? Getting guys like Bryant will certainly change your program. Now my question becomes the same one it is for every program that really uses NIL, and I mean really uses it. How will that go in the locker room long term? Because give Tech credit. I watched some of their game yesterday against K-State. They didn't start hot, but they persevered. They were the more physical team. I mean, K-State's pretty physical. They ran the football down their throat. Baron Morton was back. He looked pretty good. That's a good football team. It's physical. It's easy to sell that. So right now I'm here to vote yes. I think Texas Tech is going to be a top 20 team every year, depending on how quarterback play goes. And if they're a top 5 team one year, here or there, I can see it. The coaching staff's done a good job. Again, the only question I have, and this can happen to any program, will some of the kids getting these crazy upfront deals eventually cause problems in the locker room? That's the only thing I can see stopping it. And that happens to just about everybody. It's the same reason that Saban left the sport. Like, it's a big, big deal. It's the same reason Florida State imploded last year. NIL matters. So I'm curious to see how that goes. But to that end, college football is not a very easy sport to predict. So let's have some fun with it and just kind of look at it like, you know what? It's cool that Texas Tech has made a run. They might end up in the college football playoff if they win the Big 12 championship. That league's probably still a one-bid league, it's my guess. Who knows? But Texas Tech can compete. Give their staff credit. They're going to have even more talent down the road too. So it's going to be very interesting to follow the Red Raiders moving forward. Finally, I just want to talk about the college football playoff here and just have some fun with it. I'm not sitting here telling you anything other than the basic numbers and just a few shout outs. Got a long list here. This is a wild weekend. Again, it's fun, but it's a wild weekend. Oh, you know what? Let me get DJ Forkbuck committed to North Carolina. Linebacker, I don't want to forget about this. Jeremy Garner, cornerback out of Iowa Colony, just outside of Houston, committed to Vandy. Daniel McMorris, offensive tackle out of Norman, Oklahoma, committed to Cal. That's kind of weird. Jackson Gates, cornerback from Laverne, just outside of LA. Damien High School is committed to Mizzou. He's a cornerback. So those are the other commitments. But for college football, I'm just going to kind of run down the main teams and some of my thoughts about who's going to make the playoff. Ohio State bludgeoned Penn State in the second half. Their defense went crazy, but it was 17-14 at half. One of the reasons, and probably the only problem that Ohio State has, their run game's okay. It's not great. They are a pass-first team. Can they have a game where they're pass-first in the playoff against a better team, a Georgia or whoever it may be, and win that game when they go against better DBs? Penn State's secondary is pretty good, but I don't think it's elite. They got one corner that's an NFL guy, but after that, I'm not sure how many are going to be able to play man in really tight coverage situations against Ohio State. Not that many can. But can Ohio State have a game where they run for 60 yards and still win? That's going to be the only question I have, because otherwise I think they're the best team. That defense, man, they find little things, fix them at halftime. And the second half, again, Penn State didn't score in the second half. I like the Gruntmeyer kid, though. He's got some moxie. Penn State's in a better spot than I thought they were. And congrats to that staff for kind of holding it together. UGA, Florida. Florida found a way to lose again. Terrible run gap fit. After they played pretty good run defense most of the game, big run late in the game, Georgia gets through. Florida can't do nothing with the ball again. Georgia's run defense is solid. Their pass defense got a lot better in the last few weeks, way better than what it was against Tennessee earlier this season. Georgia's a threat to win the title. I didn't think that a couple of weeks ago, but I do now. Now that their corners are playing better, that's a team that can win the national championship. Congrats to Kirby and his staff. They have really improved. Sticking in the state of Georgia, Georgia Tech, your defense is abysmal. At the end of the third quarter, they'd given up over 400 yards. It was closing in on 5. In 3 quarters, NC State's got a good offense, no doubt. Hollywood Smothers, if you have not seen him, really good running back. I enjoy him. I really enjoy him. But CJ Bailey just smoked them, and he was hobbling around part of the game too. And he still smoked you. It's sad. Georgia Tech is not a playoff team. I don't care if they go 11-1 and win the ACC. And what do I mean by that? Yeah, they would be in. They're going to get killed in the playoff. When they lose, it's going to be an abomination. That defense has no business in the college football playoff. None. It sucks because I think Brent Key and what he's done going back to his alma mater is great. Buster Faulkner is a really good coordinator. I think he's one of the leading candidates for possibly several jobs. But Georgia Tech has no business in the playoff regardless of record. None. You can't have a defense like that and expect it. I don't know what's going on there, but they're getting worse every week. NC State, by the way, credit to them. They showed up and they balled out, and their fans were great too. Vandy, Texas. Texas tried to lose late, but Vandy, they just don't have the horses up front. They played, I went and looked it up during the game. They've got similar snaps for their defensive linemen, but they got a bunch of guys that are 6 foot, try-hard guys at D-tackle, etc., playing against better competition. They're not getting enough pressure on the quarterback. And Arch, by the way, has improved. Texas is a threat to make the playoff now. Arch has improved vastly, actually. And they're hitting big plays. If Texas can get their run game going a little better, big question, they might be able to beat A&M. That's the last game of the year. That's a big, big game. Could it happen? Possibly. Could. But my question is Arch really seeing the field that much better? Clark Lee's defense has been good for years. It was that way when he was at Wake Forest as an assistant, at Notre Dame as an assistant, as a DC. He helps with the defense in a lot of ways at Vandy. He's a good coach. Arch all of a sudden is seeing the ball go into tighter windows, more comfortable, etc. Again, it's reps. We talked about that earlier with Miami. Arch is at the end of the season. He's got enough reps now. He's starting to see things differently. I think Texas is a threat to make the playoff, and they could possibly even do something. Notre Dame, this was a weird game. They won a clunker at Boston College. BC had a drive, I believe it was 18 plays and another with 21. Between them, they gave up like 3 points. BC just nickel and dime them to death with 3 to 5 yard passes. Notre Dame wouldn't give up the big play. But they ate up the entire third quarter pretty much doing that, etc. Jeremiah Love had a 94-yard run. Their offensive line, though, was up against it because BC really stacked the line, tried to force CJ to beat him. He missed 2 or 3 big shots down the field and still hit a couple. Notre Dame is a good team. I think they're a playoff team, but they are weird. You don't know what you're going to get, and they are very banged up. They've got 2 or 3 guys out on the offensive line, and their kicker is terrible. Their kicking situation's a joke. They used 3 different kickers yesterday because they missed multiple extra points. That's not a good sign. And they were inconsistent a little bit with the run game. Jadarian Price got stuffed several times. He fumbled at the 5. Notre Dame's red zone offense is just atrocious for some reason, despite a plethora of good players up there. I don't know. You can't turn the ball over as much as they have or struggle in 4th down situations in the red zone. They give me pause. That's a team that could end up in the Final Four or get beat by 2 touchdowns in the first round they play. Who knows? Notre Dame is very, very difficult to try and figure out. And Boston College has found a quarterback, but their defense is abysmal too. Texas Tech, their D-line, I already talked about this a little bit, is really good. It's too good for anybody in the Big 12. I don't think there's a team in that league as talented as them. BYU, I think, will find that out when they play Tech. But at the same time, one way or the other, I think Texas Tech's going to win that league. And I just think their NIL has won them the league championship. That's my opinion. And their coaching staff has put it to good use. They've done a good job. Give Tech staff credit. They play hard. They play physical. Oklahoma, Tennessee. My question here is, does either fan base feel good about this game? Tennessee definitely does it. That's their 3rd loss. They're out. They disappointed. Defensive touchdown, big man touchdown for Oklahoma is a part of that. But Mateer was only 19 of 29 for 159 yards, no TDs, 1 pick. But they did run 35 times for 192 and 2 scores. Xavier Robinson went off. They lost 1 of 3 fumbles, so they got to start holding on to the football. And if they can't throw the ball more consistently, if Mateer's hand doesn't get better, are they going to be able to, even if they made the playoff, would they be able to do anything? And they still got Bama coming up, not this next week, but the week after. They got LSU at the end of the year. I still think they'll lose another game, but they won at Tennessee, so you got to be happy about that. But you can still see some underlying problems. We'll see where OU goes from here. One team that did not have any questions was Utah. Holy cow. Brendan Sorsby for Cincinnati was one of the best quarterbacks in the country going into the game. He was 11 of 33. Utah's defense tore him up. He did have an 80-some yard touchdown pass, but still 11 of 33. That is demoralizing. Utah ran the ball 53 times for 267 yards and 3 scores. They just ran over Cincinnati. I mean, they just ran over 5 yards a total and 3 rushing scores. Utah could be the fly in the ointment, maybe, for making a run or screwing it up for somebody. I don't know, but they're going to at least go to a decent bowl game. That's a good football team. They've done a good job of rebounding. USC beats Nebraska 21-17. Raiola got hurt in that game. I think if he stays in, they win. But hey, that's football. USC took advantage, and they won their clunker. Kind of like Notre Dame, who they just played recently. Maeva was 9 of 23. He never looked comfortable at all. I'm wondering if being colder kind of bothered him. Wasn't the warmest night. California kid, I don't know. Maybe. But 9 of 23 for 135 yards. The run game was pretty good, though. And speaking of, neither team has any semblance of a decent run defense. USC's run D sucks. Nebraska's run D sucks. These are solid Big Ten teams that will go to bowl games. But are either of Nebraska and USC really headed to where their fan base wants? Debatable. I think Rule's done a little better job than what we're seeing at USC because USC has more talent, and they still won only by 4 with far more talent than Nebraska does. And Nebraska's quarterback was out for about a quarter and a half, something like that in that game. It'll be interesting to see what USC does down the stretch. But, I mean, Nebraska's run defense was 94th. They should run the ball on them, even with Maeva not being that good. They only scored 21. They didn't get the ball to Mackay enough, etc. I don't know what to make of USC. They're very, very difficult to figure out. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We will see you again soon.